How's it going, YouTube? Yeah, Pat back here, coach of the Sacramento Sun / bringing our draft analysis for the WPF. This is the singles Wi-Fi league. It is their very first one, which is very exciting. So glad to be part of the first Wi-Fi division in this server, and for a server I'd actually never heard of before. So I was really excited to be able to join. Just a handful of things about the league in general. It's singles. We got the 60-minute timer. It's there's free Terra. But it's not free Terra for every Pokemon like I've done in a league in the past. This is Terra Captains. So we have one Terra Captain, but it has free range of Terra. There's a handful of Pokemon that were banned from Terra, but I'm not going to get into all that. It's not something that you really need to care that much about. There was the option to have 9 or 11 Pokemon for the draft here. We had 110 points, which is absolutely insane. The highest tier was 19. And so if you average all that out, then if you even go for the highest number of Pokemon at 11, it's like 10 points per Pokemon, which is more than half of the tier. So yeah, you get a ton of Pokemon, and if you go for 9, then your team is just like stacked. So one thing I noticed when you have point systems like this for the number of Pokemon you have, that you just go for like the most broken stuff that you can find in the highest tiers, and like you don't need to worry about how much points. I was about to say how much money. You don't need to worry about how many points you're spending, because you have an insane number of points and you can just kind of get whatever you want. And then you'll be able to fill in your team with stuff later on. But yeah, that's just kind of how drafts like these go. When you have a huge number of points, is that there's a rush for stuff at the top. So just kind of give you a general sense, like for the draft board. So I mentioned the highest number of points is 19. Every Pokemon from 19 to 13 points was picked. And so like, yeah, there's going to be a ton of power. The teams are going to be super strong. And especially because they allowed some of these like insanely broken Pokemon that are around this gen. So anyway, let's go and talk about our team. I'm not going to do pick by pick. Well, I will, but I'm going to show you my full team first. So here it is. There it is in all of its glory. I'm not gonna like beat around the bush. Like here's the team. I'll do a pick by pick if you're kind of interested in my thought process around behind each pick. But here's the full team. If you wanted to see it and you're like, cool, I saw the team, I'm out. This is awesome. Good luck in the season. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Yeah. So there's a handful of things I was looking for, just in a general sense, for almost like a checklist of things that I want to have on a team, especially for singles, is just have a mix of damage options. Some physical mons, some special mons, some that are mixed are kind of nice. So just to point out a few physical mons, we have Garchomp, we have Annihilate. Those are the big two, I guess. I guess Quillfish is physical, Kamala's physical, and then to have some special attacking threats, right? So like Meloetta's, well actually Meloetta is kind of mixed because there's the two different forms that it has. Anyway, so special attackers for sure are Florges, Heatran, Kilowattrel. Like those are probably the big three that are on the team, and then a handful of mixed options between Meloetta, depending on which form I decide I want to use. Samurott, Abomasnow, Azelf. So like I'm pretty happy with how the team is in terms of its balance. Have some physical, have some special, have some mix. So just like a lot of different damage types, and it just means that like opponents can't use all their EVs to go into physical defense. You know, like they need to respect special attacking options, and kind of vice versa. So that's something I look for in terms of all the teams that I make. And then just to have just flexible mons. So mons that can be offensive, mons that can be defensive, and I have a ton of those, like Garchomp, Annihilate, Heatran. Like those were my first 3 picks. And like all those mons can do all those things, right? They can be super offensive with like sword stance and stuff, or bulk up or whatever. Scarf or Specs. Like I was trying to say both those words at the same time. Anyway, they can be Scarf or Specs, so they can be like huge amount of damage options, like for Heatran. And you know, they can also just be defensive. They can like have a ton of bulk on them and set hazards and get some chip damage on some things and whatnot. And then just some mons that like, you know, other mons on the team can kind of do that too. So like Florges is probably like another one that kind of stands out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with it. And then I also want to make sure that, like, in terms of speeds, you really want to make sure that you have some mons that are like over 110, over 120, because you just need to have revenge killing options. So we have Azelf and Kilowattrel for that. Just mons that can be really fast. You just want to make sure that, like, the fast mons that are in the format, you just need to make sure that they actually need to run speed. Because if they don't run speed, then it makes it super difficult for you, because then those fast Pokemon are able to run a ton of bulk or are able to run damage boosting natures or whatever, so it just becomes a lot harder. So anyway, yeah, that's what I wanted. And so that's the general sense of what I was looking at grabbing for the team in general. And I'm gonna do like a quick pick by pick breakdown. I will say that, like, typically I take whatever's I'm most excited to use or whatever I think is best on the board when it comes to me for like the first 3-ish picks or so. And then after that, I usually have a plan. But for this draft, I didn't actually have that. I was very much like drafting a pick, and like it got back to me and I was like, oh shoot, what do I want? Like, I don't know. Yeah, so the pick by pick that I'm doing here is going to be very much like a, here's what you know what, let's actually just start talking about the Pokemon. I don't need to do all this. All right, so first pick, I went with Annihilate. I thought it was the coolest mon that was on the board. Haven't used it yet, really interested in trying it out. Obviously very good Pokemon. It can be a pivot with like Scarf and Final Gambit and stuff like that, or it could be like bulk up, Drain Punch, Rage Fist shenanigans. Be like a Suicide lead with like Focus Sash or something like that. But yeah, I don't know, pretty cool mon. Kinda excited to use it. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna use it, but yeah, it should be fun. Next I grabbed Garchomp, and I didn't have to name my Terra Captain while the draft was going on, so I kind of held on to it till the very end, and I really wasn't sure. I was between Annihilate and Garchomp for the most part on my Terra Captains, but Heatran was like kind of a consideration because of the 4x ground weakness. I ended up making Garchomp my Terra Captain, so this is the mon that can Terra into anything, and yeah, I just thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I grabbed Garchomp because it was just, like I said earlier, you have hella points. This was like the highest point Pokemon on the table, and I was like, cool, Garchomp sounds fun. I'm down to use it. Obviously, like really good breaking options, like Scarf, Ban, Swords Dance, that kind of stuff. Or it can really just be like Hazard Setter. You know, it got Spikes this gen, already has Rocks, so like really good Hazard Setter as well. Rough Skin is a nice ability to have just to like either force like protective pads or whatever the punching glove new item is, or like just force things to take chip on U-turn. So like my first 2 picks, like you don't really want to have a U-turn team against that because yeah, it's you're either boosting Annihilate or you're taking like rough skin damage. So anyway, pretty excited to grab this mon too. Now I do have 2 physically offensive mons. I remember I said that I'm looking to have a mix of those kind of things in a draft. So I go for a Heatran next year, just so I want a really strong special offensive threat. Seems like a good option with what I have. Like, I don't know. Both of those mons are weak to Fairy. Heatran is like the best Fairy resist in the game or something like that. Like, it's pretty good. It might not be the best, but it's up there. So that was kind of the thought process behind grabbing that. Also another Hazard Setter, kind of cool. Then I grab Azelf, just because I'm noticing that I want to make sure that I have that really like elite speed tier. So 115 isn't like the best, but it's still good. And I haven't used Azelf anymore. Plus I wanted to have some like ground immunities, ground resist, that kind of stuff, just because of grabbing Heatran. And I really wasn't sure where I was going to grab that, but I haven't used Azelf before. Obviously mixed offense is really cool. I think it has a new move, Mystical Power, I want to say it's what's called. It's pretty tight, so it has a chance to like boost your special attack, kind of like Charge Beam, but for yeah, the Lake Trio has it, so kind of cool. Pretty excited to use it. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I grabbed Florges next, and I kind of dipped down a little bit lower in points for this, but the thought process was like my first 3 Pokemon are so bulky that if I do run defensive sets on them, then Florges supports that so well. Just being able to Wish Pass into them. Plus just being like a hugely like powerful specially defensive mon, I thought was really nice. Plus I was like kind of looking for fairies at this point, like they just kind of work with like what the team has in general, so I thought that it'd be pretty good. But yeah, so that was kind of the process behind Florges. I haven't used this mon either. It really sucks that the abilities don't do anything for singles. They're pretty good in doubles. Like both abilities. I think like Flower Veil boosts like defensive grass types, so like it's a really good grass type mon, like support mon for doubles. And then Symbiosis is obviously amazing for doubles, like booster energy Pokemon. They use their item and then you give them whatever Florges has, so like give them a life orb and they get their booster, or you give them assault vest and they get their booster, so like they have. Anyway, that's doubles. Let's continue talking about the team here. And then I go Overcool next. Just like kind of want a dark type, just for the psychic mons. Want a poison type for T-spikes and absorbent T-spikes and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that Overcool looked cool. It's a new mon. Like I'm kind of excited to try it out. But I thought that'd be pretty solid along with the team here. Some more physically offensive threats, so like you can kind of see that like I have a bit of a mix going on here. Like I have 3 physical, 2 special, 1 mixed. But Overcool gives me another defensive option if I want to intimidate. At this point I didn't know if I was going to run any weather, but like it does have Swift Swim, so like I could have considered Pelipper. I don't have a water type yet, so like that was kind of in the back of my mind as an option that I could potentially go for. You can obviously see from the beginning that I didn't get Pelipper, but it was a thought process. Then next one was Kilowattrel. Again, like I don't want to compound ground weaknesses with Heatran, and after grabbing Overquill, like now my my poison type and my steel fire type are both weak to ground, so like I want more ground resistance and more ground immunities. So getting a flying electric type just means that now my electric type on the team isn't weak to ground, which is kind of cool. And then again, this like helps me out with the speed tier kind of thing going on. So Azelf and Kilowattrel are the fastest ones on the team. Really just want to kind of stretch speed tiers out, just helps the team out in general, just from a prep standpoint, and then just gives you more options. I will also say that my pivot game is kind of cool here too, like between Kilowattrel, Annihilate, and Azelf. Like all 3 of those mons could potentially force things out and use like U-turn to get in maybe some of my other threats. I don't know exactly how that would work for this season, but it's an option, right? It's always good to have options when you're drafting a team. Next one, yeah, Abomasnow. I actually had a little bit of thought process here for Kilowattrel is one of the few Pokemon in the game that still has Weather Ball. Like Game Freak like removed it from so many Pokemon. It's insane. But it is kind of cool that like having an electric type that gets like an ice move, right? Like with snow going up and being able to use Weather Ball to hit those ground types, I thought was a neat option. I don't know how much I'm going to use it this season, but I just thought it was cool. And then Abomasnow I thought could be kind of nice. Like I was looking for a grass type to help support the ground weakness. Really kind of thinking about that for Heatran. This also gives me Veil. Like, I mean, setting up Veil and then having Annihilate come in and like set up all and stuff, like sounded pretty good. So I thought that was cool. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that Abomasnow seemed like a cool mon to try. I think out of everything I've drafted so far, I think I've only used like Garchomp in a doubles league, so like everything is very new to me from a playing standpoint from singles, which is kind of cool. So like continuing that trend. I've never used Abomasnow before, but it seems like a cool mon. Yeah, so kind of excited for it. Obviously the defense buff from Snow is kind of cool too, so the mon takes a little bit more hits. And we have some pretty good resistances to fire, right? That 4 times fire weakness, like isn't that big a deal when you got a Heatran, you got Garchomp, pretty solid. And then I still have a water type to pick up too, so like I felt pretty good about that side of things too. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a cool one. Excited to try it out. Next one was Kamala, because for whatever reason, like nothing has defog anymore in the game. Like if you go to past generations, Azelf, Kilowattrel, well, Kilowattrel's new to this gen. Anyway, Azelf and Florges used to have defog, and they just don't anymore. So maybe, actually, I don't think Azelf did. Whatever, Florges used to have defog. Kilowattrel should have defog, like, this flying type should have it, but whatever, I need removal. And, like, this Pokemon was cheap, and it had Rapid Spin, and there's just not very much removal in the game anyway, so, like, I thought it'd be good to have it, at least. Obviously, like, there's a, The ghost immunity would be nice on the team as well. Like I have a psychic and a ghost type that are pretty strong, and so I want to make sure that I can kind of fight up against some of those other strong ghost types in the game. But yeah, I don't know. Main idea was I wanted rapid spin with Kamala, and I don't know, it'll probably do some other stuff. It's 3 points. It's not going to come very often because teams are like yoked out of their minds in this league, but yeah, it's here. Next thing I grabbed was Meloetta. Honestly, like I got to this point in the draft and I like had enough. So like you only had to draft 9 to 11 mons, right? Meloetta is my 10th pick, so like I had 13 points still. So like I had a ton of points left over, and I kind of just grabbed Meloetta because it seemed like a cool mon, you know, like, I don't know. It seems interesting. Being able to change from being a normal psychic to a normal fighting sounded kind of cool. Like, and then it also, if I do use that relic song and it changes to the normal fighting type, then it's actually the fastest Pokemon on your team because it gets up to 128 speed, which is faster than Kilowattrel at 125. So like, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to use it because I'm not quite sure how the Sleep Clause interacts with Relic Song. I don't know. I should probably figure that out. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool Pokemon to use. Obviously gives me a ton of extra special attack. And yeah, new Mon. Excited to try it out. Yeah, that was about it. That was like the beginning and end of the thought process. New Mon. Could be really fast, interesting ability, different forms, sounds cool, let's do it. And then last Pokemon I grabbed was Samurott. I obviously need a water type still. Samurott was an option that I wanted to try out. I guess not like really wanted to try out, but it was there, and I saw what I could get with having Meloetta, so like, it sounded cool. I was willing to try it out. I guess I technically decided that I wanted Samurott before I decided I wanted Meloetta. So like, even though the order of the picks is Meloetta first then Samurott, I already knew that I was getting Samurott before I got Meloetta. A lot of people would finish up their drafts, so like everybody had a water type at this point, so like I could kind of get it whenever. But yeah, like Samurott mixed hitter, so it adds some more of that kind of thing to the team, just makes it more difficult for people to prep. I didn't actually think that a water type was super important for what my team was doing, but water types are already really good. And yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be a fun one to use. It's technically the only Pokemon on their team that has knockoff because they like got rid of knockoff from everything this gen, but somehow this dude has knockoff still. I don't know. It's whatever. I have knockoff on the team, and it's probably a good idea that I have that. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty excited for the team. If you want to share what you think about it, definitely feel free to drop a comment down below. What do you like? What do you dislike? Did you like the draft analysis? Do you want to support me during the season? Play some Pokemon, or like watch me play some Pokemon games, and yeah, have a good time together. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. If you'd like to see some more, definitely like, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I will catch you on the next one.